Okay, so this happened 2 weeks ago, and I still can't stop thinking about it, and maybe if I say it out loud someone will believe me, or maybe just understand, because I swear I'm not making this up. I was standing in line at this local coffee shop that just reopened after renovations. It's one of those hip spots with bare brick walls and industrial lights and the kind of people who look like they live on Instagram, and I felt like a ghost there, just this plain woman in oversized clothes trying to me and her own business and get a black coffee like always. There were 3 girls behind me laughing and whispering. I could feel it. I've felt it my whole life ever since the scars and the burn marks. I used to try and cover them up, but now I don't care. I just wear what's comfortable. And if someone can't handle looking at me, that's their problem, not mine. But that day it stung more because one of the girls leaned forward just enough and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "Oh my God, look at her arm. Looks like someone put her in a microwave." The other to burst out laughing, and I felt my ears burn. I clenched my fists. But I didn't say anything, just stared ahead pretending not to care, and that's when the guy in front of me turned around. He looked maybe late 30s, tall, square jaw, kind of like someone you'd see on a movie poster, but his eyes, they were cold, sharp, military sharp, and when he looked at my arm everything stopped. His whole body stiffened, like really froze, like he'd just seen so nothing impossible. And then, without a word, he grabbed my wrist gently, not like in a creepy way, more like reverent, and whispered, "Where did you get this?" And I said, "What?" The tattoo. He nodded, still holding my arm, still looking at the black ink just above my scar tissue. It's faded, but you can still make out the insignia. It's from my old unit. I got it after my 3rd tour. He looked up at me, eyes wide and glassy, and said, "I haven't seen anyone wear this since Kandahar." I just blinked. I didn't recognize him, but I remembered the heat, the smoke, the sound of sand hitting metal, and for a second we were there again, not in a trendy coffee shop, but in that godforsaken desert where everything smells like blood and diesel. And I said I was field medic. Bravo team. His jaw tightened. So was I, and I swear time stopped. I forgot about the laughing girls. I forgot about the ache in my hip, and the nightmares, and the meds. I just stared at this man, this stranger, who remembered. Then he turned slowly and looked at the girls behind me, and said in a voice that didn't need to be loud to be lethal, "You think scars are ugly. Think laughing at people who've survived things you couldn't even imagine makes you cool." They went dead silent. He pointed at my arm, at the tattoo. She pulled a kid out of a burning Humvee under sniper fire. While bleeding from her own leg, she saved 6 lives in one day. The girls looked like they wanted to sink into the floor, and I felt something twist in my chest, because he wasn't wrong, but no one had said it out loud in years. They didn't know my name. They didn't know what I'd done. They just saw the damage. One of them stammered, "I'm sorry, I didn't know." And I said, "You never asked." And the guy, yeah, his name was Nate. I found that out later. He paid for my coffee, and we sat outside and talked for an hour. Turns out we'd crossed paths once in the field. I treated his shoulder after a convoy got hit. We didn't even exchange names back then, but he remembered me. Said he never forgot my voice calling orders through the chaos. But that's not even the twist. The real twist is 2 days later, I get a call from HR at work saying they've had an anonymous complaint about my unprofessional appearance. I knew exactly who it was. Karen, my manager. She has always had it out for me ever since I got hired on a veterans placement program. She says things like, "We all have trauma and don't expect special treatment," and she hates when I roll up my sleeves at work. She once told me I should be more mindful of how I trigger people with my scars. So yeah, she reported me, and I was furious. But I didn't yell, didn't cry. I filed my own report. Turns out our company has a zero-tolerance policy for discrimination based on medical history or service injuries. Nate helped me get in touch with someone higher up in the company, someone who actually cared, and the next week Karen was gone. They let her go. HR apologized in writing. I was offered a promotion. I did. And take it. I just wanted peace. But the best part, those 3 girls from the coffee shop, they showed up at the hospital where I volunteer for trauma patients. They didn't recognize me at first, but then one of them did, and she looked like she'd seen a ghost. And I said, "This is where I spend my weekends helping burn victims." and amputees and people learning to live again. She just nodded, couldn't even meet my eyes, and I said, next time you see someone with scars, ask them their story before. You laugh because sometimes those scars are the only reason you're still free to laugh at all. And then I turned around and walked away, and I felt lighter, not because I won, but because for once someone else carried the weight with me.